There is no question that they are fading fast. They really don't understand that in this moment, especially, they had I really would have to think back to any moment in which a person was as low on the totem pole as they could possibly be in a given situation. And I think back to 2005, 2006, where the remnants of just sort of the end of dealing with George W. Bush and his people had come to fruition, and the Democrats were able to sweep in during that midterms, which obviously laid the foundation for Obama. But these numbers don't lie. This is so painfully obvious that this party is dead as a freaking doornail. And the reason they're dead, I don't care if they're down in the blue states. I don't even care if they're down in the red states. They are down horrifically bad in swing states. And that is everything. And this is coming from neoliberals, your favorite fucking newspaper. It's coming from the New York Times.
Yeah, and you know, as I say, this is registered voters, right? So this is not a Kamala Harris problem. This is a Democratic Party problem. This is and all the excuses of, oh, she only had a hundred days to campaign or whatever, right? This is a systemic problem.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, they stand for nothing. They offer nothing. All they do is say, we're not Trump. Trump bad. We're not Trump. That's new Coke. Nobody needs it. If you're not offering solutions and you're just another elitist that's looking for a payout, which is all that they are, they don't even care if they win races because they'll still feed their friends in the consultant class every time they run a campaign. That's why they don't care. They make money either way, whether it's insider trading or they love to be in the minority, because when Trump's in power, they could sit there and fundraise and say, we didn't do it, it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I also think speaks to just the sort of disassociative state that many people feel when it comes to electoral politics, that what good does it really do? It's two sides of the same genocidal coin. You know, we're facing that reality. And I am the mind that, you know, it's going to take boots on the ground and out in the streets for any real change to happen. But for us, it is so clear that this is sort of a dead issue. And what's going to be interesting, just from an electoral politics perspective, how is Shama Sawant going to do against Adam Smith in that congressional race in Washington state? How is Butch Ware going to do against Katie Porter in the gubernatorial race in California? I think a lot of it obviously hinges on how much capital they're able to raise. And it isn't like they need to raise a boatload of money, but you need to raise a few $1 million if you're going to be competitive. And then I think that could, you know, potentially prove where the change is going to come from. Because in the end, Jen, you've often said, it's not about how much your opponent has. It's about how much do you have to actually get out there and get your message out.
Right. Yeah. There's a point of diminishing marginal returns in it. You only need what you need to do what you need to do. If you're outspent, but you could do what you need to do, that's all that you need to do.
You know, I pointed out to, I think on Twitter earlier that it just occurred to me how shocking it is that Chuck Schumer, he's going to be the Senate minority leader like forever, like as long as he wants to be. And like, if you look at these numbers that you've got up on the screen, right? That's a failed party that needs new leadership, right? If you had a company, unless it was Tesla, where like you know, the stock price could plummet and nothing will cause them to oust Elon Musk. But a normal company, right? If the company like is losing money, the board gets together and they replace the CEO. So isn't it crazy that like it's inconceivable that they would ever replace Chuck Schumer, a guy with, you know, no charisma, has no, you know, who's totally incapable of rallying the country at this moment? We know, I mean, I know, you know, we all have our criticisms of Bernie Sanders, but I think we know that the smart move for Democrats right now, seeing Bernie's fighting oligarchy tour, would be, well, you make Bernie Sanders your Senate leader, right? That's your most popular politician. That's your guy who should be representing you in the Senate. When people think of Senate Democrats, they should think of Bernie because he's literally their most popular or least unpopular figure. And yet they won't even conceive of doing that.
Well, technically, is Bernie a Democrat? Isn't Bernie an independent that caucuses with the Democrats?
Oh, yeah,
And that's, but you see, to me, that I now see it much more as that's his role that he's played, and that he's always been Mick resistance, and he's always been that. And it's disappointing, but it's reality, which has now led a lot of us to understand that we're not voting our way out of this mess.
Bernie's independent thing is very strange. Like, he made some noises about like a few months ago. Like, he said things that kind of implied that he believed we needed a third party, but then he'll never break with the Democrats. It's very weird. Like, you know,
it's intentional. That's what I mean. It's like he's playing the role of, like, you know, the spoiler, but he isn't. He's really there at the end of the day to keep everybody in the party, like the big tent. And I mean, I don't want to be with them in the tent anymore. They stink.
If he legitimately went for it in 2016 at the convention, which he had every right to do, and ultimately decided, okay, I'm gonna join the Green Party ticket, and I am going to make a run of this in the general election. We have these two horrifically bad candidates. What can we do to make a difference? Well, how different do you think this country would look today if, in fact, Bernie had decided, you know what, I'm not going to let you cheat me out of this, which they clearly did. So how do you think that would have unfolded if he had chosen to go that route?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, I just don't know, because obviously every effort would have been made to destroy him, and how successful that would be, we just don't know. I mean, I think he would have had a lot of people behind him who would be very excited by that, and I think when he didn't do that, it deflated a lot of people. I mean, one of the things we were talking about, how galvanizing that 2016 moment was, but it was also really deflating for people when they all got their hopes up, and then all of a sudden, you know, it was over. And then we were faced with Hillary and Trump, and these were the only two options. And that was really, really deeply demoralizing. And I think even if he hadn't won, you know, Bernie, what he really didn't do was build a kind of lasting movement. You know, he had Our Revolution afterwards, but, you know, he got behind Hillary Clinton, and like the Sanders movement was demoralized and deflated, and they all went home.
Yeah. Whereas in your native country, you've got this going on. A fifth of voters stood back Corbyn's left party.
This is important.
Yep. Former Labour leader and Zara Sultana have the potential to shake up British politics. And great. No, is it? Whatever. Damn these.
It doesn't matter. The point here is
share
that. The Labour Party is in very much the same position as the Democratic Party in the United States right now, in that they're, you know, historically unpopular. Right, Keir Starmer is very widely disliked. That creates an opportunity, and Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana have understood that it creates an opportunity and seen it as a moment to break with the Labour Party, to form a new third party. Now, in Britain, third parties are more viable than they face fewer obstacles than they do here. But what's incredible is that even before the party had a name, like, they attracted, I think in some polls, more support than the Labour Party. And I do think that if Bernie had actually followed through on his, like, kind of intimations that he might form a third party, and he brought some other popular figures with him, you might see the same thing, where they would eclipse the Democratic Party in polling very, very quickly.
Oh, I think without question, the only problem is that we have a winner-take-all system in this country that is so broken beyond repair. At least in a country like the UK, like in England, you do have this opportunity where a true left Labour Party could actually emerge and actually cause a stir. And this is just right on the surface. It's not even really taken off yet. But if it does, I mean, Jeremy Corbyn was really revered, and the biggest reason he got pulled out of power was because they painted him as an anti-Semite. If they try it now, it's not going to work. In fact, there's probably a substantial portion of the British voter out there that regrets that they allowed Corbyn to be taken out of power, because now they see through it in a way that they didn't see it before. We saw what happened at Wembley recently. You know, you've got Bob Villan, who goes out there, death to the IDF. Yeah, probably if you had said that about 5 or 6 years ago, that would have been a big problem. But today, forget it. Israel has shot their load and then some.